that was a reason why this game got so messy?
Yeah, I think so. This was the kind of draft that we said is probably not going to win 5v5s. They thrive on chaos with all the globals. Many times a fight devolved into the bare minimum, the bare necessities, and then suddenly the hacker comes in. That kind of moment could not have been repeated by the Teh89. Like, they have to walk all the way there. So this kind of chaos is kind of good for Fnatic, but it's also almost kind of avoidable. Because they need to avoid fights. It's very much like a Warcraft 3 game where you have like mass raiders and you can only attack buildings, so you have to run again. And the StarCraft 2 hit and run styles with like Mutalis.
And this series is very different from the My Insanity semifinals that we've seen. So this is basically like two boxers punching each other 24/7, whereas My Insanity felt more in control. They played it more calmly, I think. So I think we can now actually take a look at the final, or not at the final, but the map veto. That's what I wanted to say there. Now, the next battleground goes to Teh89 in terms of choices, and they chose Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's actually been a while since we saw that battleground, strangely enough, isn't it, Tetcher?
It is. It used to be incredibly popular, including at some of the previous regionals, but seems to have fallen off a bit as teams sort of went back to it was sort of like Infernal Shrine, Sky Temple, and then a little bit of Tomb here and there, but now Tomb sort of dropped out in favor of a little bit of Dragonshire coming back in, a little bit more Cursed every now and again, and once Garden. Never again Garden.
Rippy. Calder, you know you want to talk about that map in particular, so
of course I do.
Off we do it. Be our coach.
Of course, the map 2 of the Spider Queen, absolutely fantastic map. 3 lanes once again. Very small map indeed, though. And you have the minions dropping those gems that you have to collect. In that sense, it's a little bit similar to Black Hearts, but you have to turn those into 2 turn-in points on this map in particular. As on Black Hearts, the turn-ins get more expensive over time. And once that you complete a turn-in, you release the Spider Queens on every single one of the lanes. They start to push in quite heavily. And that's usually the moment when you really try to take down as many structures as you can. It's one of the reasons why Sylvanas can add a lot of value, disabling structures, helping with the push here, and oftentimes what you're aiming for is to get 2 turn-ins in a row and deny the turn to your opponent. Also, one of the things that's a little bit different when we're talking about the comparison to Black Hearts is that in this map you cannot pick up the gems that your opponent has collected. You can deny to them by killing a hero that is carrying them and then just making sure that the other team doesn't pick them up again, but you cannot claim them for yourself. So that's a big difference to Black Hearts Bay.
Very well done, Calder. I actually like that name, Coach Calder. That could be a new YouTube
Coach
series.
Calder? All right, yeah? Coach Calder.
Let's make it a thing.
With a K.
Coach with a K. All right, so an important parallel here to Black Hearts Bay that Calder actually drew. You cannot steal everything away from the opposing team. You can just prevent them from attaining them.
It's also the map where we have the original throw pit, because that boss is literally in a pit at the top of the map. So once you move in there and you're not 100% certain that you're going to win a possible fight, you should never go in, because that is where more than one game was thrown.
So if you're in the shoes of Fnatic, it's going to be hard to really estimate the situation, right? Are they actually playing well? Are they in charge? Are they in control? Or is it just like open to anyone? Do you think that Teh89 has what it takes to actually snatch that victory away and maybe take the series?
I think Fnatic is playing better than I expected. They look very solid. I would say they're playing slightly better than at UK Leicester. And the Teh89, they had very close games against them so far. And they're playing a lot better than I expected. I think they're actually giving a really good run for their money. There's no need to be discouraged in any way. And I think if the Teh89 loses 0-3, it will be one of the least mentally discouraging 0-3s ever.
Yeah.
I think with Fnatic, I said it before, they improved during Leicester. I think the team is growing and growing with every single tournament that they play. They are a lot calmer in their decision-making in the late game, even though they still have mistakes, but all teams do, as we heard from Bloomby earlier in the interview here. So I believe they're getting a lot stronger. I think they're going to win the series here, because I feel the biggest problem for Teh89 is right now that they didn't have a lot of time practicing together. You could see it on the last map. They played an exceptional game, and I think if they would have had a bit more time to practice together, the last game would have been theirs.
Someone we just saw here on screen was Ace of Spades, the coach for Teh89. Tetcher, you know him probably very well because you've been involved in the scene for a very long time as well. Can you tell us about his function and role maybe? Because I think it's quite different to Kareon's, the Fnatic's coach role, for example. Can you draw a parallel there maybe?
Well, Ace is one of those lovely breeder coaches that used to be a pro player.
Exactly.
And he was in the pro team for quite a while, starting off with, as an example here, Fnatic. Starting off with them here and then moving over to a couple other teams bouncing around the scene a bit, wasn't able to find a home, and then decided that he would be more comfortable in that coaching role. But game knowledge is a big thing for him. Draft styles is also very useful and something that he has extensive notes on and a lot of knowledge about.
Yeah, and Karayan is more of a personal coach. That's what he said for Fnatic. It's not about, you know, really giving strategic tips or telling them which heroes are good on what map. It's more about mental coaching, right? Let's not forget that most of Fnatic's players are very young still, Breeze, for example, and they tend to get nervous every once in a while. So I think that personal attention is very good for them.
Yeah, he's like one of the, not more so a coach, but more like a manager type. He collects data for them and statistics that they can always fall back to when they want to look up something. But his role is a little bit different. He's definitely the one that is more on the emotional side, that is trying to drive the team. He's hyping them. You see the huddle before every single game starts. So he's a very crucial part when it comes to that. But when we're talking about drafts, for example, I don't really believe that they necessarily need help to have a very good drafter with Quacknix. And he has now the assistance of Wooby as well, who we always said is a very intelligent player in the way that he approaches the game. So Karayan fills exactly the role that Fnatic needs here without stepping on anybody's toes.
Absolutely. We're going to start this game in a very short time. You know, guys, why the delay is happening. I don't even have to mention it anymore. 3 times the charm.
Someone went to the restroom?
Yeah. Thank you, Grabby, for mentioning it again. Yes. I don't really know.
I know these things.
Were you actually nervous in before games? Did you have to go to the bathroom really often?
Back in the early days of Warcraft 3, when it was still allowed, I would just go to the bathroom after every single game because it gave me a time to think about the game, win or loss, and it also annoyed the opponent.
There was a team that did this.
Are you one of those dirty players doing
not
mental
dirty.
tricks?
I'm not dirty. Mental tricks are a very accepted and smart part of any... This is not the most reason why I did it. I also drank loads and loads of water, so what comes up must come down.
From the sink?
But, from water bottles. But the point is, like, if you're allowed to do it, then you make use of it, because you can really think about your next game.
Yep, we had a team that did it for quite a while. Well met.
Oh God!
Very much back in the day.
Calder,
That
you
was
have a special relationship to them.
That was
right?
stressful sometimes casting them.
Yeah, that was of course online. So online, there's very different rules. That is not the offline setup that we have.
You mean
here.
You can't control people when they're in their own homes?
Yeah, I cannot walk behind them and just slap them and say like, "You ready up right now?"
You would.
I would. Yes, I would if I could.
We very nearly did. We went upstairs at like Bucharest where we had some of the team. We had some of those players there.
To be honest, in some of the breaks, I would have had enough time to travel to where they live, slap them, join the game, go back, and then start.
Well, to be fair, it's only now that I've been on the broadcast side of things that I actually think like, wow, it can be quite annoying if you just take a 15-minute break every single month.
Exactly.
And let's not forget that the best ideas sometimes come to those who sit on the throne, right, in the bathroom. That's true.
That's why I have so many good ideas. Anyway.
Exactly.
And by the way, Grubby, sometimes you would have been happy about 15 minutes with well met. I mean, these guys were pushing boundaries.
All right. For now, though, we are finally in draft number 3 between Fnatic and Teh89, of course. If Fnatic wins one more game, by the way, they advance to the grand finals where they meet Mind Sandy. For now, though, we're going to focus on Teh89 in particular, because if they manage to reverse sweep, they're going to be the lucky ones in the finals.
All right. First thing here, Asmodan. Teh89 played it against Dignitas. Yep. It is one of the a bit more cheesier things that they like to do. Of course, that's something that Fnatic should have seen, should have scouted.
They were standing behind it exactly as it was happening, so they know this is a thing.
We might see a ban on Asmodan. We might just see a draft that caters towards countering him.
Yep, Fnatic finally going to ignore Kael'thas again.
Nope.
A little hovering over leaving.
A Liming would be a mistake.
Deciding which one they want. I agree. I think Kael'thas on this map especially is a way better choice. And finally, Kael'thas makes it through the draft.
I think I have to like paddle back a little bit. Liming isn't a mistake here, but she would be a mistake picking her over Kael'thas on this map, because she is actually very good in denying turn-ins and also just like getting a good poke out.
But she's not as good against Asmodan.
Yes.
if you want to pre-counter Asmodan, you take a team that can go around and kill people. And like Liming can kill people if they stand still or if they're slowed or stunned a bit, but like Kael'thas can make it happen together with some frontliners.
That gravity lapse is so important.
This is building into this. This is building into a Asmodan build very
I have no idea what's happening, guys.
But there's a second draft phase. The second ban phase.
I cannot tell you how much I would like to see some dunking action here on Two Bride of Queen. I can't stress that.
Just to put it out there, this is also baiting a ban.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
I mean, this is not only like, okay, we're going to play Asmodan, oh, they banned it away, and now we're doomed.
no.
This is basically, we have a Johanna, we have a Zul, we can drop a Sylvanas if we want. We have so many other heroes that we can play. But if you guys give us Asmodan, then I guess we might as well. So Fnatic has now to think about their second ban.
You know what? What if you go Johanna Zul? Zul's an Illidan counter, so's Muradin. Muradin has been removed. You make
They
it
pick
look like
Illidan and Tass
Asmodan,
as
and you
well.
go Johanna Zul, Illidan, Tassadar.
They are open.
That would be pretty crazy.
Not anymore.
Or like, well, even I don't think you need a second support. You've taken away 2 of the great counters to Illidan, Muradin and Zul.
You're actually right, because Illidan has been played a little bit more on the map since teams realized, yeah, we don't like him so much on this map. It's a smaller map. There's not as many camps.
But
He doesn't
he's
get as
still
many
Illidan.
value. Exactly. He's still Illidan. And all of a sudden, some teams started picking Insanity, for example.
Yeah.
And they won with him. You have a bit more of a problem because the distance to safety is much shorter on Tomb of the Spider Queens than it is on most other maps. And that is an argument against Illidan. But once that the forts are down, that doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. And the good thing about Illidan on this battleground as well is that it's very predictable. Sometimes you can anticipate the enemy team is paying there at the bottom or in the top lane, so you know where to chase, you know where they're going to end. So, yeah.
I want to come back to that point real quickly because it's actually one of the things that a lot of people do not realize when we're talking about Illidan compositions. Illidan thrives on map where he has a lot of space where he can chase down the team. So one of the main reasons why he was not as good on Tomb of the Spider Queen is not only the lack of camps that he can clear or the value that these camps get, but also because the lanes are so close together and the forts that he doesn't have a lot of space to chase an opponent. So you just have to run back a little bit and you're safe again. Once the forts are down, that's a different story. Then you have more space on the map. So that's very crucial when we're talking Illidan composition and how powerful they can be on a certain map.
But now that Teh89 is thinking of banning Rhaegar, if they go through with it, I don't believe in it anymore. Because I think with Zul already, you don't want to have a backline healer in addition to a frontliner. That would keep the dream alive.
Yeah.
Like Rhaegar, Illidan, and then one backliner would be like a perfect draft.
Also, let's not forget, it's still towards this possible fake or bait.
Yeah.
Because Stitches is also good against Asmodan.
There it is. Asmodan ban.
Yeah, Asmo ban, but that, like Grubby and Carol said, does leave Illidan alive if they still want to go for it.
Even if they don't want to go Illidan, it's not like it's the only option for them. They had an Asmodan up.
It's fine to have wave clear here.
Exactly. This is the best wave clear map in the game. You have wave clear on Johanna, you have wave clear on Zul. We're having a Sylvanas open that you could play with too. So there's so many ways that you can branch out right now. No matter what they do, they have a lot of options at this point.
Yes. It's a really nice spot for Teh89 to be in because unlike Fnatic's chain or roster thus far, it's not like, you know, you're giving away so much information. You really leave the enemy in the dark. They don't know what you're trying to do.
There's a Lunara. That's also a lot of wave clear, a lot of poke damage. She is very, very strong on this map. This was actually one of the first maps where we saw Lunara in competitive back then, played by Virtus Pro, who absolutely love to play her here.
Yeah, and it would be a solid pick for them, especially just as the poke against the backline here with that lovely Thornwood Vine. And Tassadar has a little bit of trouble dealing with it, so if Fnatic will probably get to play a second support anyway for Thrall, but it just lets them have a little bit more trouble.
Maybe it's going to be Lunara Uther and then finally Illidan. Like Uther is like a pretty cool counter to Illy, so they would take another something.
There's Lunara.
Or maybe it's all a smokescreen by us. And it's just the standard draft.
Karazim, I like this pick here. It denies some of the AoE healing away from Fnatic. They still get Rhaegar, which, as you mentioned earlier, still very nice, very solid for spamming out the heals against that Lunara splash AoE damage. But Karazim would have been another very solid choice who can really follow up with Thrall and get a bit of an advantage out of Tassadar's Leeching Plasma.
So we're definitely going to see a Rhaegar here, I think, for Fnatic. It's a top tier support. All right, so yeah, Rhaegar is still a top pick here for sure. It works well with Thrall, and it has a little bit of AoE healing against Lunara.
Tyrande is still possible. Dia Tyrande.
Tyrande, yeah.
First.
They don't really need a cleanse against that team. I mean, maybe the Blessed Shield, but other than that, well, maybe the Bone Prison.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
don't
worth
usually
it,
No, it's not.
Is
It's
it
not
required.
It's not a cooldown that you want to
yeah.
trade. It's a 60-second cooldown, and it's just too much. But Tyrande is a good point. They go for her. So Diablo, Tyrande, stun comp with the Kalphos behind it, the Thrall for lockdown. You have also the double support. It's really strong.
Yeah, they have a lot of combos here.
And
Thundering
The roam is great.
Sundering into Lightning Breath or Epoch with Starfall and Phoenix.
And
oh my god.
That all of a sudden makes also that little hope that we had left that we could see in Illidan more or less non-existent.
So it's Chen again. Teh89 sticking with the formula of Oh,
well, he's
Chen.
disengaged.
I mean, we kind of already knew when Charism came into play that it would not be the case anymore. But if there was any doubt after the Toronto and the Diablo have been picked up, that basically destroyed all hopes of that ever happening.
And I mean, it's a Thero Angel after all. I mean, his go-to hero, his iconic Pandaren Brewmaster. And to be fair, if they manage to pull off something like a boss deal that they attempted in the previous game, if they manage to do that on this map in particular, it's going to be disastrous for the enemy team.
Keep in mind also the function that Chen has here. If you use all those heroics, Phoenix, Starfall, all he needs to do is to push everyone away. Besides Falstad, he is the best disengage for the entire team. Secondly, if he starts rolling Diablo towards his own team, that could be a pretty easy kill, and there's no cleanse.
Yes, exactly. Very good that you bring that up. The cleanse, the lack of cleanse here is huge because oftentimes when you have a cleanse hero against the Chen, the first thing that you see, Chen sees an opportunity, jumps in and is like, oh my god, I can take him down.
And he rolls
Tries
through.
to rail him away, rolls through and he's like, what the? And it's just like, what just happened? And yeah, that's the ult gone. And the Charism player, or the healer on the other side is just laughing a little bit. In this case, no cleanse available, so we should see quite a bit of value out of Chen.
You could still utilize the Force Wall a little bit in that regard, right?
I've seen that. It's very effective as a counter to Chen. Just like, no, you can't get back to your team. This person is staying here. It works quite well if you can time it right and if you can position it right.
So there will be a lot of weight on the shoulders of the Tassadar player and the Chen player alike. So these guys will have to make the plays and the counter plays.
As a Chen player, there are three things that annoyed you with Chen. The first thing is if you accidentally, when it was bugged then, and you try to jump in on barrel, and the game would catapult you in front of the hero instead of behind it, and the barrel activates. That was the first thing. Second one was the cleanse. And the third thing is if you finally get that barrel in and somebody puts down a force wall, and you're like, well, thank you very much for that now. I'm not getting anything out of it.
So after looking at both of these compositions, is there someone for you to actually favor? I mean, Teh89, you just cannot disregard them. If they have that tiny amount of extra luck in this game, they might actually take it.
I think the lack of cleanse from Fnatic here is a pretty big deal, but I think they've drafted fairly masterfully here. They've managed to force Teh89 away from like anything gimmicky that could have snuck them a victory. Here we go again.
Sometimes I wonder if Smexy Style is actually focusing on the game, if he's actually listening to what people tell him, or if he's just fighting the cameraman 24/7.
I love, by the way, that the cameraman is just giving up at this point. He's like focusing. Oh, he does it again and he moves away.
But yeah, basically Fnatic, I think they've drafted masterfully, taken away anything gimmicky, really, that Teh89 could use to try and sneak a victory, and have forced them onto standard, where Fnatic have so far, barely, might I say, but they have taken 2 games off them. I think they can manage without a cleanse. They might lose someone every now and again, but overall, their fight potential, and especially their pick potential, is insane. Yeah,
absolutely. And in Tomb of the Spider Queen, we have, as you mentioned, Calder, not so much room to move. So I think heated battles are definitely on the schedule here. Calder, who do you think is going to take this game number 3?
I think Fnatic takes it. I think the early game is theirs thanks to the rotation. They should get the first turn in. And if they play their cards right, they should get the second one too. So they should get 2 in a row if they play it right. So my prediction would be Fnatic is going to make this a 3-0.
Fair enough.
I've made my opinion clear. The lack of cleanse is a big deal. And Teh89, they're not out, but I'm giving it to Fnatic. Like Calder said, early game is a huge deal, and this comp is so good at it.
Grubby.
The 89 has a big lack of interrupts on the altar. They don't have very much long-distance spells, so it's going to be really hard to deny turn-ins. This is going to be a problem for them. Furthermore, they will lose in the first 10 seconds of any fight, I feel like. But they are a counter-attack comp. They have a lot of poison damage against Tassadar Tyrande, who's probably taking Starfall.
Yes, most likely.
And so with that poison damage and with the tankiness and survivability that the 89 has, I believe they can win the last half minute of every minute fight. But the first and the objective will be very difficult.
I am a little bit confused. Who are you giving sway to now?
Who are you vote? 1 plus 2. I think Fnatic is going to win.
Awesome. So I have to. You confused the production as well.
Okay,
good job, Grubby.
That's cheating right there.
Well done. All right.
Here.
And I'm gonna make things very easy. I'm gonna go with Fnatic as well. I think overall they now ride the wave of momentum. They play extremely well, and and they're definitely gonna be a worthy contestant for the grand final slot overall. So Fnatic it is. And now it's back to the casters, guys. Take us to Tomb of the Spider Queen and show us what's in store for game number 3.
All right, game number 3. It's gonna be tense. Teh89 on the precipice of going home without having the chance to play against My Insanity for the finals, and that chance to play in Jönköping, Sweden. Grubby,
Yeah, at this point, the Teh89 is very far away from that. They need to just take each game at a time without worrying about the overall result. They've been playing some pretty good games. Here they are in the blue on the left side. Eternal on Johanna. We've got Grand Paquette on Karazim on the Pleb Horse. Sport Billy on Linara. Zarmany on the Piggy Bank, playing as Zul. And finally, Chen, of course, at the bottom being played by Athero Angel.
Yeah, and he is, of course, running the perfect skin mount combo of the Flying Carpet and the green Master Skin Chen. Whereas on the right-hand side, currently 2-0 in this series, it is going to be Fnatic. And playing for them, we have Breeze playing the Diablo. Wooby is on that Thrall. Smexy on the Tassadar. Quacknix on Kael'thas. And Shrimpy on his old favorite, that Tyrande.
And when you have Tyrande Tassadar, we actually saw this from Dignitas as well at Leicester. You just go for the middle tower if the opponent is either splitting or delaying the minion wave by blocking them. Either way, if they're not right there at the gate, plus Diablo is a better ganking level 1 team, then you can just get a tower, almost anyway.
Yeah, Chen finally picking his level 1 talent, going with Regen Master here. Quite a few Globe talents overall. Not everyone who can take one has one. Kael'thas, though, did go for that Mana Addict. But we are seeing Fnatic with that, of course, that 4-man rotation.
Speaking of talents, Fnatic took 5 talents with the shade of blue. And the Teh89 with 5 talents with the shade of green or yellow.
Yeah, very Johanna kind of ruining it a little bit there, but close enough. We'll give that to her.
Beautiful fashion tips here from the pros.
Yeah, it's very, very cool to see. Fnatic just going with the wave clear. It's all given up on the 4-man roam instead. A very early gank on Chen of all people. Oh. But now he's had to kick away from his base to escape here. Eternal positioned perfectly, though, to rescue Athero Angel here. And Athero will back out and keep himself safe. So far, 0-0 in confirmed.
I'll tell you what, Tefcher, I didn't think Athero was going to be making it out of there.
I didn't think they'd go for him that early. Either way, that was just a surprising engage in general. And for now, we are seeing Fnatic just clearing the waves. Their roam is very strong because if anyone contests it, there's so much stun lock here.
And Diablo gets so many souls on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's really crazy. Normally, he gets 7 per wave just from one lane, maybe a few more, like 3 or 2 in another lane every time there's a wave. Now he's literally just getting 14 souls per wave.
He's going to have revive pretty much every time. It's like playing Murloc Diablo build without actually building into any of the talents required for that. So for now, we are seeing Fnatic just the exact same style here. Thrall and Athero, Wooby and Athero just continuing to duel down here. Athero does win this lane for quite a long time. Wooby eventually starts to get back into it with that Thrall. But Chen, is there anyone who can beat Chen in the solo lane?
Butcher.
Fair enough. I don't think Butcher... Yeah, Butcher can definitely do the job pretty effectively.
He will dive to every gang.
Yeah. It's like, yay, I won lane against the Chen, but I have 9 deaths because the enemy team sent down a person every couple of times.
I would win the lane against you, Chen, if I wasn't 4 levels down because I've got 9 deaths.
I would be winning lane if it wasn't for the rest of the game happening.
Yeah.
So we are seeing Fnatic with a slight XP lead, but not a huge amount. Teh89 keeping up very nicely, but so far still 0-0. Fnatic wanting to go aggressive here, but Teh89 continuing to show that they are very good at the passive play and not getting caught out.
Chen gone for swift reflexes to block those 200+ auto attacks from Thrall rather than amplified healing.
That is interesting, but he, I guess it does make sense as Thrall is going to be the person he's laning against, and 2, just a huge bully to him.
Yeah, he's going to hit Chen a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So Tassadar going with mental acuity as opposed to the leeching plasma, which he could have applied to Thrall here. Valuing vision, which is so good on this map, over the sustained for his Thrall here, because they are technically running the double support, and Shrimpy, with that full cooldown reduction build, is going to be able to spam out his heals a little bit more.
Yeah. I see Ganker at the bottom once again going for Athero Angel, Lunar Flare, and Hunter's Mark will hit. Athero gets away with 10% life once again.
Athero really living on the edge here, but he is surviving every single time. Still 0-0 in terms of kills. And while this is happening though, Kael'thas has been left alone in top lane, Zul has been left alone in mid lane, and both of these players getting a bit of XP for their teams, but both teams able to get into the lane in time to grab it before that XP disappears.
Yeah, it's very important to get those gems as well. Fnatic has slightly more of them at the moment.
Yeah, but Teh89 catching up very quickly. And turn-in wise, Fnatic still a slight bit ahead, but both teams guarding these turn areas very nicely, and Fnatic with a slight advantage here due to the amount that they are roaming.
The most beautiful thing that I've seen so far is the fact that the 89 doesn't engage in the standard 4-man rotation. Zul can take care of himself at the top, but they're continually protecting the one that gets roamed against, even though they have no vision spell. No Creep Tumor, no Sentinel, and no vision from Tassadar, no Oracle. And still, they've always been in the right place to save Athero there in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they didn't even take the extra vision on Lunara, which, to be fair, the other talent does work a little bit better on this map. But
I correct myself, they do have a vision talent.
They have a vision talent, but they didn't take it. Oh yeah, the Wisp, yeah. Didn't even think
you were
that.
thinking of like...
I was thinking of the
rookie that I hope we'll see in the Nexus someday, who would never forget about the Wisps. Sargeras.
Think of Wisp.
Everyone forgets about the Wisp.
Everyone forgets the Wisp until it runs past you, in which case you prioritize it above everything.
It's like there's a Living with 1 HP, the Wisp.
Get the Wisp!
Get the Wisp!
Deny the vision! Living cannot see her fate coming. Oh wait, she's gone. It is, but Fnatic finally able to get their first Web Weaver turn in. Breeze going after Johanna here. A lot of damage dropping, but Johanna dropping that Iron Skin, able to pull back. But she took a huge amount of damage here and is going to have to play a little bit safer here. Web Weaver will go down, but the other lane's still under a bit of harassment.
Actually, there's one character that I hope we'll see in the Nexus someday who would never forget about the Wisps. Sargeras.
Sargeras.
He got owned by a couple of Wisps.
He got owned. Apparently, Wisps explode. That is a thing. If you haven't
in Warcraft, they do as well. Detonate, sap your mana, no damage.
Why is that not a talent?
Yeah, I know.
Explosive Wisp when it dies.
It's so fun removing your opponent's mana pool. It's a fun and interactive playstyle.
Yeah, that's a feature that has yet to make it into Heroes of the Storm, and I don't think will be anytime soon. The removal of mana.
Perhaps for the best.
Yeah, I would say so. Although, like, that's an ability they could have put on Nova. Thank God they didn't do that. EMP
to make her more hateful.
Just like, oh, by the way, you know any ability you could use to escape me? Nope, EMP'd.
Yeah. And all shields gone from Protoss, like just because.
Just ripped Tass and Artanis. Oh dear. So we are seeing Teh89 continuing to deny a second turn-in, because Fnatic do have one extra gem than what they need for a full turn-in, but Teh89 not having any of it, and they're trying to get their own turn-in at the same time. Orbity, though, taking a lot of damage. He is going to get out barely, but takes a lot of damage in the process, and now out the fight for quite a while.
Fnatic with that first Web Weaver turn-in, and they get a slight bit of a scratch off of the paint of the top and the middle forward, getting some of the walls. So we do get that lead that you would anticipate with a team like Diablo, Kel'Thas, Tyrande.
Yeah, that lead is a pretty big deal, and once again, Fnatic have found some freedom at one of the soul cages here and get their full turn-in. So,
did you say soul cages?
Soul cages, that's what it's called.
Wow.
That's the in-game file name.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now you know.
What's the extension of the in-game file names?
It's just you used to be able to you can click on it when you're in observer mode.
Oh, sick. Do you remember Vikings used to be able to kill them?
Yeah, they had Fear of the Storm. Barrel being used here on Thrall, being pushed so far back, but he's just escaping here. Blessed Shield is huge, though. Here comes the Starfall. The Lightning Breath coming in instead of the Apocalypse. Thrall goes down first, but the Starfall doing huge damage. Everyone on Teh89 is so low, but right now coming out with a kill ahead here, and now they're beginning to push back Fnatic. But the Web Weavers still pushing the outside lanes. What is this going on to Fnatic? They really need the kill for this. They go for Johanna, and they get her, evening up the kill count. And Teh89 slightly overextending themselves.
Yeah, they did. They did. They got the Wobby, the Thrall, finally. And then they could have gone back. They were all very hurt, but Johanna did not get the memo. Yeah. And that was, quote unquote, because all death is unnecessary, an unnecessary death.
Yeah, we do actually see on Zul, we mentioned the potential for poison, where basically Fnatic engaged and Zul used poison over. He didn't. He went with the Skeletal Mage. Just wants to try and control the fight a bit more, as opposed to counter-engage, which I honestly kind of agree with you that Poison Nova would have been really solid here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but on the other hand, getting the Skeletal Mage on Kel'Thas and Tyrande
that is
can pressure them.
Yeah.
And it also stops them from being able to follow up as well, so it's pretty cool.
And we did also already mention that Diablo went for the Lightning Breath as opposed to the Apocalypse, which could combo with the Sundering here. Instead, he's using the slow from the Starfall, he's using the Force Wall to control a fight area and just drop the maximum amount of damage that he can. Although, right now, he is rooted, takes a little bit of damage, but no full commitment because they're currently just protecting Grab Paquette from turning in, who is being harassed repeatedly by Shrimpy and Smexy, coming in for round 2 of the denial here, but they are too late, and the turning goes over. Here's
once
the barrel.
again.
But the Lightning Breath throwing huge damage onto Zarmony, as does the Phoenix and the Star. There's the Thundering.
Ouch!
That is destructive. Zarmony escaping with no health. Owl.
The Owl.
Vision.
Sentinel.
Can I do it?
No.
Can I do it? Are they gonna do it?
He's cool. He's cool.
He's cool. He's pretty
but
much
his
back
teammates are
now.
not.
Shrimpy going for it. He's able to get the Johanna here. Zul actually just grabbed a fountain, so he is back. The Owl comes out trying to catch him, but he just grabbed a fountain and is already in top lane.
Now, oh man, that was a pretty okay keg. And that thing that we were talking about in the pre-draft, Force Wall stopping the keg from taking him to long, far and distant lands.
Yeah.
I can show you the world. Nope.
Yeah, the Force Wall solid, and Diablo dropping the Lightning Breath as well, making him unstoppable, so he couldn't be pushed around by a lovely choice by Breeze here.
I just wanted to mention that, like, if you get bone prisoned by Zul and you need to get out and you're about to die, you can just tap your Lightning Breath for half a second and then walk away.
It's a huge cooldown to burn to do that, but it does work. It makes you unstoppable, so it allows you to escape that way.
He's got a really ineffective version of Iron Skin. Which can also do some damage.
And a really ineffective static standing still version of Iron Skin.
Yeah. A really damaging dance animation.
This is, yeah. Well, that's the taunt animation, isn't it? His dance is the arm swing.
Yeah. Really good move, to be honest.
Although you can cancel dance and taunt animations, could you like cast taunt to bait that you're lightning breathing now?
Actually, you can cancel dance, but you can't cancel taunt.
Oh, okay.
But you used to not be able to cancel dance, so that's a pretty big buff to it.
Although there was a thing where you could use /dance to get out of mind control because it would take over.
You wouldn't get out of it, but it would have to finish. It's pretty funny. That's probably why dance is cancelable.
Yeah, maybe, and also the fact that they did patch that out. Unfortunately, it was a cool thing, but it was only so many players would know about it, and only so many players had their /dance key bound to a macro, like some of us do, for taunting purposes.
Oh, everyone has it on macro by default now. Numpad 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, this is true. So
all right, level 14 versus 13. Exactly enough gems for Fnatic to pay in, and exactly enough for the 89.
Yeah, they are both looking for that opportunity, but both gathering around the soul cages, looking to deny as much as possible. Zul going with a Scythe talent here at level 13, so a good chance he's going to be moving in to that Mortal Wounds at level 20, so we can try and deny some of that healing from Tyrande and Taz, although it's not a huge amount of healing, it's just quicker thanks to the cooldown reduction.
Yeah, so for now, that's the slowing side, 40% for 3 seconds.
Yeah, which is pretty nice here. In comes the barrel once again.
They want Kel'Thas.
The bases are good here. They are able to body but quite a few people. Breeze so separate, but look at the amount of damage that's been done here. Thundering's good. The palm is super by Grand Paqueta. He's going to be... No, he's going down. Lightning will kill him eventually. Lightning will kill eventually. Zarmony. No, the Sentinel was used on Zarmony. There we go. Grand Paqueta was killed off up top as well. And once again, Fnatic, they win in the first couple seconds of the fight. They were able to survive the barrel and then turn it around very quickly. 3-0 in favor of Fnatic, and they're going to be pushing this mid lane.
The problem here is while the 89 is trying to exert all kinds of control over the battlefield, Fnatic is just too good. They're canceling things with Force Wall. They're positioning. Arcane Barrier already pretty buffed. Quacknix has been collecting globes real well, and then the shields from Tassadar. And then during that control from Chen, we have this massive amount of area of effect damage coming out of Fnatic, where even the Warrior takes part in being the DPS.
Yeah, and he's still able to tank through this. The shields and the healing from Tyrande Tassadar is enough to keep Diablo alive. He even has imposing presence now for a little bit of extra tankiness from the auto attacks combined with his block. So just trying to block any damage coming in towards him here. And at level 20, he can either go for more damage or a little bit more sustain here with that Lord of Terror if he so wishes.
We're a little bit in a situation where if this were either a Hero League or a quick match, the blue team now, they would say, we lack damage.
No, the blue team would say, GG, let them end.
Depending on your level.
That's a universal thing, Grumpy. That happens everywhere. Owl comes out. It has now got Ranger. It does serious damage. So
how about both? We lack damage.
Both. Let them end. Yeah. we drafted wrong.
I have never let someone end.
No, I refuse to do it. It's no fun. So we are seeing Teh89 on the back foot here. They're having to pull everyone back as Fnatic with Web Weavers are putting pressure. They want that middle keep. Johanna and Lunara coming up from the top lane, or I guess coming down from the top lane. And that Thornwood Vine, super effective at dealing with these Web Weavers.
But Sport Billy as the only ranged damage dealer. And no Poison Nova. It really does look like there's a little bit of damage. These cakes have to be effective. Wooby he gets out once again.
The Sundering lowers poor Billy's health enough for the bomb to kill him. Zabadi will get palmed here, but he's surrounded. The blessed shield buys him time, but he still gets taken out by the Shadow Charge. That's 2 for 0. That's the middle keep gone. And Fnatic, they were thinking about ending the side better of it, and are instead going to guarantee themselves a second keep, which is a safer play, going to keep themselves from making the same mistakes that Teh89 have done previously. Instead, though, going for a kill, but they weren't able to get Chen. Relentless, good ability.
Ooh. Missing a number of talents here. I don't think they're in a very dangerous position yet, but Lunar's coming back.
Yeah, which is why Fnatic, now that they have that bottom keep as well, are going to run the hell away. They don't want to be involved in this, but now that they have this huge lead, they can just soak for 20 and then either go for end, go for another objective, or even go for boss, which is available, although the only keeper left is the lane the boss would be going in, so it would be a bit harder to go for an end with that.
Yeah, that's true. And going for the boss, I think the 89 may not have enough gems. Yeah, so there cannot even be a counter
heroes.
Yeah.
So they need to just guard this permanently until they can either win a fight, which is going to be difficult. They've only just hit even talents, and there's only 1 level left for Fnatic to get level 20. So Fnatic, they could just wait until level 20, or they could do this and go after some of the heroes here. The palm will save Zul. The barrel is good, catching everyone into a trapped area, but we see Zul go down here. Quacklix is so far away from his team, but the heals are good, and everyone drops here. Fnatic begins the chase. They want to try it, and they find Ludara. Only 2 heroes left. Thero is on the run. He's used his barrel. He has nothing left to defend this.
It was a massacre, Thatcher. A full wipeout. The least close game of this semi-final so far. Fnatic slated here to take the 3-0 victory with a guarantee. Breeze going crazy. Don't know if you guys can hear them. And we have quite the match coming up in the grand finals.
Yeah, rematch from Leicester here. It is going to be Fnatic versus My Insanity. Amazing play by them. Moving on to the finals 3-0. Like you said, that was a convincing game. That comp really worked for them, and they played it to incredible ability. This is something we've seen from them before. This is why I said what I said about them in game 2. We didn't see it. Their snipe potential and the way Fnatic runs snipe comps is terrifying. It matches their aggressive playstyle.
Yeah, Fnatic practices sniping in Hero League all the time. I've seen it in on ladder. It's true. They play this kind of Diablo Tyrande style all the time.
It's very true.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, wonderful play by Fnatic.
Yeah.
And welcome back, guys.
Thank you very much.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was an amazing game. And congratulations to Fnatic. Very surprising, excuse me, not surprisingly, but convincingly in game number 3, whereas the other ones looked a little bit wild and chaotic. But this is definitely something to be proud of for Fnatic. I mean, once again, they live up to their reputation as being one of Europe's strongest teams. And the addition of Wooby so far has shown fruition, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that I also talked with the coach during the game, and he said then when Wooby came into the team, he basically echoed what I was saying in Leicester, that they have some problems in the late game and that Wooby is supposed to really have that calming effect to them and help them with those issues. And you can really see what happened now there. Wooby is not only having an influence on the draft, he also has exactly the effect that Fnatic was hoping for when they added them to the setup. It helps that they can speak in Swedish. They have a 3-0 victory here. Looked very solid on the last map. The kill potential was gigantic that they had. It was a very well-played game here. So a 3-0 victory and well-deserved that at this.
Absolutely. Tetra, do you think that Fnatic is now going to be one of the... or let's put it this way, let's rephrase it and say, do you think that Fnatic has what it takes to be a real challenge for My Insanity? Because both teams still unbeaten, haven't dropped a single map.
Both unbeaten, but both have had a little bit closer series against some of the other teams in the semi-finals. Both have put up a bit of fight. My Insanity a little bit more convincing in them, and people are still slating them as the favorites. But we just saw what Fnatic can do if they get on some heroes that they like and in a style that they like. They are a team to seriously be cautious of, and I think this is going to be a really exciting finals. If it's anything like the semi-finals we had at Leicester, then I am super hyped.
And what we also can say about Fnatic is that they had a couple of cool moments in the game color, so take us to replay number 1.
Yeah, first game that we had, our first play, it basically shows a little bit the kill potential that we have on the side of Fnatic. So first of all, the Barrel, of course, with the isolation attempt, will be actually surviving for a very long time. They were really trying to kill him, and in the end, they succeed. They get the kill here. But this was also the case where we saw that Teh89 has actually a bit of a tendency to maybe overreach at some point. There's a kill against Thrall. They are very low, Grandpa Kid in particular, so they're trying to heal that up. But now they find themselves in a 5 versus 4, and they move out again. And instead of just backing here and waiting for the Web Weaver, they go a little bit too deep, especially on the side of Eternal right now. So they're forced into a fight that they don't really want, and all of a sudden they start losing heroes here. So they start with a very good play. They get the kill. They could just move back, wait for the Web Weavers to go in and fight under the safety of the fort, but they go out too far, overreach, and all of a sudden Fnatic is just coming back into it, gets the counter kill, and has a very solid position to continue from there on with the Web Weaver on the map.
Yeah, is there anything else that you noticed, Grubby, that Teh89 could have maybe worked on during the game number 3? Because
not during the game, maybe in the draft.
In the draft? All right, talk us through it.
I mean, we see a lot of comfort picks that don't necessarily make sense, like the Chen pick. It can be a team disengage, but he's not that strong against mass stuns. And yeah, I don't know, like there's this, if you take double warrior and Zul, you're pretty low on damage.
Yes.
You probably need Poison Nova, and you probably need a hero like Kel'Thas or Li Ming behind it, barring almost none. That's hindsight, but it's also prescience, because before I was also thinking like, Chen. It is a wonky draft. We continue to see a high dependence of Chen in Europe that we don't always see echoed in the other regions. So maybe a little bit redrafting. And it's actually the drafting of My Insanity versus Fnatic that I'm very excited about, because I think they're both doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Now, Calder, replay number 2.
Second replay, that was again showing the potential that we have with the damage. First of all, Breeze moving in and immediately getting that attempted snipe here. But in this case, Eternal able to move away. Still very, very low. But Zarman is also down here. And once again, we have that barrel attempt. Everybody low. It's really just all the damage here. And Diablo just punishes whenever he can. Moves in again. There's another Palmer. You can really see where this is going. The hit points are dropping, and one by one, they are really starting to end up in a scenario where they're losing heroes. The rotation at the bottom, at the top, of course, we're already seeing the kill against Karazim. Zarmany is falling down here. So in those fights, they just don't have what it takes to put the damage out. And every single time that we have Fnatic moving in, they just see a target, Breeze goes in on his Diablo, they isolate it, there's the Sundering behind it, all the damage being dropped, and they just pop them at pimples and get kill after kill.
Right, and Quacknix, welcome back to the desk, man. Congratulations on your victory, and congratulations on making it to the Grand Finals once again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and how did it feel to play against Teh89? They were a team that many people didn't really have on the radar, right? So did you actually prepare for them in particular? And if so, did you feel comfortable when playing against them?
It's one of the teams that we have screened pretty much. So, like, yeah, we feel confident versus them, but they really showed up in this tournament in general. So, like, as they won Dignitas and we actually watched their games, of course, we got a little bit, like, scared, but, like, they're doing really well, so we have to watch out.
So
but we were more prepared for Dignitas.
Right. Obviously, right? And nobody expected them to drop out that early. So we've seen a very chaotic game 1 and just as chaotic game number 2. Can you describe to us what went through your minds during the last minutes of the games? Was it like everybody screaming, or was everybody just listening to one voice?
Well, they scream anyways.
Yeah, okay, I mean, Breeze is screaming no matter what you do. But
no, but like we really made sure to keep it quiet at that point, because it was really simple, not necessarily simple from our position in the game. Like all we had to do was utilize on our globals, try to force an engage when we're outmanning them. Or they are pressured from like 2 keeps down, and we just have to get the next shrine. So it is like we have they have 3 things threatening them. Like there's keeps, there is just like the minion waves that is pushing into the core, and the fact that we can backdoor. So as long as we play it safe and they don't get the fight before the shrine spawn, we can play around it with our globals and just be far out on the map. So if 1 shows bot and 2 shows top, we go on that guy. So we just look for a pick and utilize on our globals.
All right. Anyone else has a question for Mr. Quacknix?
During the second game, you sort of switched hero roles a bit. Like, Wubby has been known a lot for his Zeratul, but you did a bit of a rotation. Is this just because someone was more comfortable on a hero? You played a very solid Zeratul. I will say that. That was you all played very solid in your rotations. But
except for that one Void Prism. Nobody saw that.
You really showed that catapult minion. But you guys all rotated. Shrimpy on the Falstad. Is this just because one person was really much more comfortable on a certain hero?
No, it's just because like usually it's always me on Falstad as well. But
exactly.
When we picked up Wooby, he's gonna fill the role that Athero had, which is second tank melee assassin most of the time. And he hasn't played, like Schwimpy hasn't played any of the Hakas. So if we go into a comp like this, like we haven't practiced Schwimpy on the Haka. So like, and I'm fine on Zeratul. I used to play a lot of Zeratul. Like it was a long time ago, of course, but so that's just the way we practice because Schwimpy is fine on Falstad, like he's doing good. And I can go be fine on Falstad, and then Zeratul, and then Wooby just takes the Haka because it's a hero that he has practiced. So we don't have to like right away just put Schwimpy on something that he has never played. Instead, I go back on a hero I have played, and Schwimpy just gets the Falstad.
Okay. How long ago last did you play Zeratul?
We played it like 3 or 4 scrims on me.
Okay. And in the last game, you seem to have a lot of control of the draft, sort of going towards stuff that Teh89 might bring out. Is this just because of is this stuff you suspected them to pick up? Like for the draft, like you banned out Zagara first, and then you banned out Asmodan? Like is this just because of target from what you saw them playing earlier?
A little bit, yes. Like we know that if we take away their power picks and get the draft where we feel confident in, we will win. Or like that's how we feel at least. Like we feel that we are the stronger team. So as long as we get what we want and deny them their power picks, we should be fine.
All right.
One of the things when we talked about like pool, like hero diversity and like hero pool, especially after Leicester, there were a couple of things where you afterwards also said, okay, we have to expand on our hero pool since then in scrims. I know you've been working on that actively. Do you still feel that you guys have to improve on that point, or do you believe that you are finally in a situation where you're flexible enough in the drafts?
I mean, of course, we're going to keep expanding it, but we are really prepared for this tournament, and we will not end up with problems like we had last tournament. But it was the last-minute ban nerf Greymane that fucked us.
Dropping the bomb.
Family show.
I'm liking it. All right.
I'm sorry.
Talking a little bit also about the upcoming match, about the finals right now. You are playing again against My Insanity. You probably can still remember the last time you played against them in an offline tournament. It was the semi-final, of course, in Leicester. Pretty close call. Battlefield of Eternity, probably a match that you will remember for a long time too. What do you think going into that next best of 5 now?
Like, it's the same. Like, it's just, as long as we get the draft that we're fine on maps that we have practiced, and just play our game, I really believe that we can win. It's only that the only problem versus My Insanity is that you can't outdraft them, because they will be fine in every situation, so we just have to focus on taking away their power picks and making sure we get a fine draft, and then we'll just see how it goes. But, I mean, we will win. I hope.
A quick back pedal there at the end.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Quacknix, for the insight here on the desk, and good luck in the upcoming grand finals.
Thank you.
All right, and we're now going to take a look at the bracket situation. Of course, it's pretty self-explanatory what's going to happen, but still, to have it on the screen here, we have the grand final for this Heroes of the Storm European Regional in Tours France. My Insanity duking it off against Fnatic, who just came on top against Teh89, 3-0. We could say, like, the biggest ballers in this tournament are facing off each other, because both teams looking incredibly overwhelmingly good, not dropping a single map. And we thought that Dignitas was special at Leicester. You know, it couldn't happen again. It was like a one-of-a-lifetime experience, but we got 2 teams doing it, right?
I am very happy with the final. I actually called it yesterday as the final match after we were finished with the group. So that I would love to see that as the match, because it is the revival of an insane series that happened in Leicester.
All right.
Very happy with it. And I have to admit that I have absolutely zero idea who's going to win it.
No,
like none.
This is by far the hardest to predict zeros, in my opinion, because if 2 Titans clash against each other, everything is possible.
I'm very happy with my predictions so far. I'm on a 12-3 streak, so I feel pretty confident in that. But that last final, I feel anything can happen there, like really anything. These 2 teams are both insanely good, and I personally believe it comes down to how the games go and their emotional state after the first one.
It almost feels like Grubby versus Moon back in Warcraft 3, doesn't it?
I mean, you never knew who was going to win too between us in the finals after a while. Like before, once I finally overcame him once.
Would you say are you My Insanity or are you Fnatic?
I mean, there's like players that I used to play Warcraft StarCraft with on the My Insanity Hassle Op, so I identify there. But I mean, Fnatic continues to impress. They won DreamHack Winter. We're at another DreamHack here. My Insanity has been the #1 favorite recently. And I think I'll be most happy to just digest this Heroes of the Storm pro play without any predictions.
Cool.
I'll be surprised if there's a 3-0 either way. but I'm really looking forward to these games.
I'm actually going to predict a 3-2 in the Grand Finals. I think it's going to be emotional. It's going to be very explosive.
You think there's going to be crying?
Oh, man. Maybe tears of joy. I don't want maybe tears of joy.
At least 8 emotions. Fear, pride, happiness, crying.
All right,
Go on.
I don't have any more.
Just a short public service announcement. So the Grand Finals are going to take place at 8 o'clock in the evening, CEST. Probably some of you will be like, what? That's still a couple of hours to go. But don't worry, guys. We got you. It's literally a couple.
1 hour, 55 minutes from now.
Right. But
no,
we got your back.
For American viewers, so that they also know when it happens.
All right.
We have other content.
Now, let me announce something really cool that we've got to fill the time gap, so to speak. We came up with an idea to do some show matches, and none other than Dreadnought himself is going to lead one of those teams. The other ones are being led by Grubby. Where's the hype? No, where's the hype? I thought we had another hype train going. But no, only for Dreadnought, I see. And
that's a little bit late.
The hype train's running a bit behind schedule.
All right. And
production ball dropped.
And okay, Tetra, I gotta hype you up as well a little bit here because you're gonna be the captain of the third team, won't you?
I am thoroughly screwed.
Come on. And
Ex-pro player,
You.
low, mid-diamond league. It's not happening.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. We're also gonna have these show games, of course, themed in a special way. So only certain heroes might be allowed, and it's gonna be tons of fun for sure. Also, what I'm gonna mention is that Blizzard has a cool gig going right now. They are offering a 15% merchandise, off, so to speak. You can buy jackets, t-shirt, everything you want, a little bit cheaper, as long as it's Heroes of the Storm related. So just use the code down below. You can see it on your screens right now. And we're gonna be back after a short commercial break. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I can't wait to actually see what these former pros and the wannabe pro have to offer. So tune back in for sure, guys.